that part up. That aggravates me because I can't figure that out though. But anyway. And Dr. Evans, I have a brand new hat on tonight, so they can't even see my brand new hat. We still have a little bit of time. I would try to experiment, but I'm scared I'll cut everybody off completely. So I'm just going to leave it alone like it is and just, we'll work this way.
As long as you'll be able to share your screen,
Yeah, I
we
can
should be
share.
fine.
I can see everything. I can see all of you that have
Okay.
showed up. I can, everything's good. I have just somehow I have hit something and I just can't figure out what I've hit, and I'm sure it's very simple, but it's okay.
It's a Dr. Stedman. If you still want to play around or you got a few minutes, I really think it's in your video settings that you might have mistaken clicked something.
Okay, where did I go for that?
So down where it says start video, if
Yeah,
you see the little arrow going up.
I there, and I see it says select a camera, and it's clicked on HPHD camera.
Okay, do you see USB video device? When you see, what other options?
No, I got
The camera.
video settings.
Okay, so you go to video settings.
Okay, I've done that.
Underneath where you see video on the left hand side, then go over where you see camera. What is yours? Are you able to change the camera underneath there?
HD camera, original ratio, and let me see. It's got original ratio, mirror my video, touch up my appearance, adjust for low.
Mirror my video, that I normally have that one checked.
But underneath
the camera, do you have a drop box where you can change?
I can go to original ratio.
Okay, let's see what that do then. Oh no, ratio, that just changes the size. It should be a drop box where you could change your camera piece, but maybe not.
Background filter, recording, statistic feedback, video. Okay, there's general up there.
Yeah, that's not gonna do
video. I'm scared. I'm going.
Most of the on solutions are saying that you probably need to restart, so it would probably be after the meeting.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. And that it probably will possibly.
We'll just listen to your voice.
Yeah, it'll probably reset itself after I cut it off and reboot it tonight. But anyway, I'll figure it out. But thanks for trying. Still coming in. Dr. Evans, it got up in the 90s here today.
Oh my goodness, it's been cool and rainy here.
It was in the yesterday and today, it was in the 90s. It was when I left work today, it was like a hot summer day.
Oh wow. October the 5th.
Of course, now, I'm closer, on the East Coast, and they're saying that the rain's coming in from some of those storms. And of course, we need some rain. And so I think that probably we've been affected by the storms. I think that that's probably what's going on the East Coast.
Yeah, it's been cool and rainy, and we're supposed to have rain all week.
Okay, well, let's get started, Dr. Revis. We have
Okay.
there's 38 students with us, so we'll go ahead and get started. Have a lot to cover. If you just welcome the group, Dr. Revis, and then
Sure.
we'll go into.
Well, welcome to week 7. And guys, you are almost at the halfway point. And so you need to pat yourself on the back that you've gotten this far. And I know that many of you have already put together your APSL tasks 1 through 5, but we're going to talk about that this evening. And we're also going to talk about the Turnitin process. And we're going to spend some time getting your competency folio ready and to start working on that as well. So we've got a full agenda. And Dr. Simon, you want to talk about comments for task 5?
Well, before I do that, Dr. Revis, I think we need to have just a brief, I call it a come to Jesus meeting.
Okay.
And we just need to talk about just a few things. Here we are in week 7. And again, I said when I was a principal and, I had to speak to the whole staff. And I said, I apologize to those of you that this does not apply to. And I do the same thing. If this doesn't apply to you, then, just listen and, just know that you're going to have to deal with these same kind of things one day as an administrator. But, we're into week 7 now, and there's things that, and it's no different than if you were with your classroom of students or you with your, that's how we've got to treat this. There's things that Dr. Revis and I should not have to still be dealing with. Now, and this is not, we're not up for, we don't even need discussion on this. We just want you to listen. Let's talk about attendance. We said from the very beginning, and 99.9% of you will remember this. We said from the very beginning that attendance is not the fact that you show up on a video on Tuesday or on Thursday when we have Thursday. Attendance is based on the assignments coming in as they're scheduled to come in a timely manner and the quality of work that you do. That's how we base your attendance. So when Dr. Revis and I look at Sunday night by 9 o'clock, we do look at, even though we have been somewhat lenient, we still look at the fact, did it come in as it was supposed to in a timely manner? And we monitor, Dr. Revis and I, we both write this down. We keep up with all this. Now, we've been lenient, and on Monday morning, I usually wait until about 9 o'clock on Monday morning, between 8 o'clock and 9 o'clock. If the work has not been submitted, then I have no choice by Gardner-Webb standards to mark you absent for that week. I can't help how many times you've shown up for, a Zoom session where if your work was not submitted in a timely manner, then you basically are considered absent for that week. Now, Gardner-Webb will send you a letter or they'll send you an email stating that you've been marked absent for this class or whatever. That's your responsibility. I don't make that up. Dr. Revis doesn't make that up. That's part of the requirements. Now, after so many, then, Gardner-Webb is out of our hands. Gardner-Webb looks at it and, the fact that your work is not being submitted as it's supposed to. So I'm telling you, we're into week 7 this week. If it applies to you, you need to pick it up and you need to do something about it.
Dr. Simon,
go ahead.
Go ahead. And I want to talk a little bit about the quality of work.
Right.
Okay.
But also remember, we told you from the very beginning that this was a very rigorous program, that you're completing 5 semesters in 3 semesters, and that it was going to be a lot of work. And that's not going to change. That part is not going to change. I do want to I'm going to share my screen, Dr. Revis, because I want to pull up something that will be Let me see. Let me see if I can get it. Okay. I want you to look at this. This is one of the 21 competencies that you have to meet this semester. This is what DPI, the Department of Public Instruction, this is minimally proficient based on what DPI says that you have to accomplish. It says time management is one of them. This means you have to look at yourself. You effectively use available time to complete work, tasks, and activities that lead to the achievement of desired work or school results. Runs effective meetings. Time management means that, Dr. Revis and I, the students that Dr. Revis is assigned to, I have to look at, and Dr. Revis and I will talk. I will talk to her about each one of you that are under my supervision. And I will say, Dr. Revis, and I'm going to go down the list. Kalisha, I see you. I'm going to just say, Kalisha is actually mine. So Dr. Revis will talk to me and she'll say, Dr. Stebbin, talk to me about Kalisha. Tell me about her assignments coming in on schedule. Tell me about her work ethic and things of that nature. We will have dialogue about that because we have to do a final assessment week 16 based on whether you have met these 21 competencies effectively. We have to look at time management. Now, we've been very flexible. We know that school was starting back. But look, we are in week 7. So if it was happening week 1 and it's still happening week 7, then something is wrong. You've got to go back. And again, remember, you're having to do a self-analysis of this. You need to analyze that and you need to say, what am I not doing right? You've got to pick up. Now, we've told you we will do a lot of hand-holding this semester. Now, and Dr. Revis is going to talk about that. We're going to have to start cutting the string a little bit as we are completing the APSL and moving into the APTL. But folks, when you get out of our class, you are going to be pretty much on your own and nobody's going to do what I'm doing right now and what Dr. Revis is doing right now. So we've got to make sure that you are at that place by the time we get there. Dr. Revis, that's all I'm going to say on that. Pick up. If it applies to you, then you've got to do something about it. Okay? We want you to be successful. We want you to be successful. But again, we can only do so much. You've got to figure it out. And I will say the majority of you have figured it out. So, Dr. Revis.
Well, and I also want to talk about the quality of work. And here's, I guess, what I'm basing this on. We do an instructor and peer review process so that as you're beginning the program, you can get a good feel for the level of work expectation for your evaluators. Our job is to get you to the accomplished level when you have your work evaluated. But if I'm having to review and send back your work on a consistent basis, it's not good enough. You're going to have to pick it up. I should not have to tell anybody right now that you have an incorrect in-text citation. You should know that by now. For some of you, I am still working on task 3, and we have had 4 revisions. None of your other instructors are going to do that. And from here on out, I'm going to do 1 revision. And if you don't get it within 1 revision, you're going to have to send it on. Because I'm afraid that you are depending on me as too much of a crutch. It's almost like, and this is just my feeling, with task 5, it was almost like you just threw something together to meet the deadline. And for many of you, it was substandard work. If I'm having to send back and you revise and resubmit more than once and more than one or two tasks within your app tool, you are not working at a graduate level. I've just got to be honest. Your instructors next semester are not going to do that. And so I'm going to try to wean you off of that. And again, starting with the app tool, no more than one revision and we're done. Okay. So not only pick up your pace, but I want you to really pick up the quality of work you're doing and make sure it's at that graduate level.
And Dr.
Now, for
Revis,
some of you, yes,
sorry, if
Go ahead.
and again, if you're waiting until Saturday or Sunday before that work is due on Sunday night, you're not going to turn in quality work. It is not, for the most part, you can't, a lot of this stuff, you can't do it. You can't do it and do the quality work that you need to do and wait until the last minute. Again, you've got to work this in to your already busy life and busy schedule. And remember, it's a season of your life. It will be over with, but while you're doing it, you've got to make it count. Dr. Revis, I've pulled up we're talking about task 5. This is task 5. This is what, and this is in your Blackboard. Again, I want us to go back again. I want you to look at what it says. Prompt 1 should do. Candidates reflect on the APSL experience by critically assessing personal development by fusing. Remember, I told you last week, fusing means you're going to bring it together, course content with the clinical experience in relation to the 21 North Carolina standard for school executive competencies. Notice the next sentence. Candidates must cite resource, but this is the main thing I want you to look at. Look down below. Let me see if I can get it. To achieve an accomplished evaluation score. Now, this is where it goes to task stream. Now, I will tell you, the evaluators look at this, and this is where I can go into task stream and I can look at what the Dr. Lamb has given me access to this. So I can go back and I can see what the evaluators are saying. We've had several students already to complete the APSL. And again, all of them have been excellent scores. However, on a couple, the evaluators, this is what the evaluator said, and I'll tell you that after this. All of the following have been accomplished, have been satisfactorily completed in a manner that consistently exceeds expectation. That means it's over and beyond. The candidate's narrative includes a reflective analysis of course content in relation to the awareness and development of each competency, and the candidate's narrative includes a description of clinical experiences and how they related to the awareness and development of each competency, and the candidate's narrative successfully addresses 12 competencies. What the evaluator said, you've got all 12 of your competencies there. What you did was good work. It was good work, but guess what? It only showed one side of your experience. It either showed what you did in your clinical experience, and there was no connection with your classwork experience. There was no fusing there, or vice versa. So guess what? You'll pass. It's considered proficient. Is considered proficient, but you didn't get accomplished simply because you did not fuse the two. We told you again, make sure. And again, by the time it comes to us on Sunday night, there's no time to go back and say, after we've already told you, I knew the work was at least proficient. And that's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to at least make sure that you are proficient. Your job is to make sure that it's accomplished. Okay? So I'm just telling you, pay attention to this stuff your evaluators are looking at, and don't feel like, you know, you've got a timeline to get it into task stream, but don't think that, you know, how fast you can get it. Take your time and make sure that it's what you want it to be and what it needs to be before you push that last button. And because once it goes in, that's it. Dr. Revis, I'm through with that.
Okay. Again, what we're trying to do is get you ready, and we're doing gradual release. We're trying to get you ready for your next semester and shifting our level of support a little bit. Okay?
And that's it. And we're just, you know, I know that it sounds like we're fussing. We're really not fussing. We're having to just be plain with you because, you know, we know what's down the road, and we want you to be successful. And these are things that you've got to work on in order for you to experience the success that we want you to have. Let me see. Natasha?
Yes, sir. I completed my 1 through 5. I put everything together, and you told me to go ahead and send mine to TaskStream. I just
Mhm.
wanted to make sure before I do, am I just supposed to send it to TaskStream this week?
I'm gonna go over that.
Okay,
I'm gonna go over all that.
thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Dr. Revis,
Yes.
while I'm pulling up some things because I want to do some well, we've talked about task 5, so let's talk about just do a quick review of the case study.
So hopefully this week you and your Zoom team have agreed upon a time for you to get together and go over the case study. Now, we spent a lot of time last week talking about how you need to be prepared and you need to have your responses written out with related research. And so that when you are discussing the questions as a team, that you are referencing the readings and you're not just giving your opinion, you're backing up your opinion and beliefs by some of the reading that you've been doing. So again, you have to be prepared. You have to join in that scholarly discussion. And then you submit your Zoom link that your Zoom master will send to everybody.
And Dr. Revis, I'm going to show them again, when you do that, okay, that is, you go to your, can we find on Dr. Revis, peer review, the case study.
Case study, there you go.
The case study materials. And remember that when you get ready to submit your work, you go to the here, case study scenario 1, written reflection and Zoom link. This is where you will submit all of your work for grade. Okay.
Now
And go ahead.
We're not wanting to see your responses to those 5 questions. What we're wanting to see is that 2-part summary, number 1, of the case study. And again, it's not a regurgitation. What you're doing is you're picking out the main points, the most salient points that grabbed you as being an issue or as being important. And you're giving an overview of the relevant points of the case. That's part 1. And part 2 is just your reflective summary of the Zoom session. You see, we're going to hear your responses to those 5 questions during the Zoom meeting. We don't need you to send that, but you would write up your summary, 2-part summary, and then you would put your Zoom link either at the top or the bottom of that 1-page summary.
And Dr. Revis, everybody, whoever the Zoom master is, please make sure when you're uploading the video and processing and uploading, you make it public. Make sure that you make, if you're the Zoom Captain, that you make your video public view. If not, you'll have to go back in and do some editing because we have to be able to see it.
Okay, any questions on your case study Zoom?
Any questions before we move on? Okay, well, what I want to talk about, and several of you have already completed this next part, so please bear with us for about the next 4 or 5 minutes while we go over this, and then I promise you the next part, you will not, it'll be brand new to you. But let's talk just briefly about the process, you know, what you've got to do now. Now, notice everything that you need is right here in the in Blackboard. And when you get ready to submit your task 1 to 5 that I'm going to talk about in just a second, you go back to your APSL task for review. You go back to that, click on that, and when you get ready to submit it for Dr. Revis or for our review, look at there. This is where you go, where you've been submitting everything else. APSL task 1 through 5 combined for instructor review. This is where we're going to tell you submit to the Turnitin process or to fix something. This is where we're going to tell you that. We're not going to tell you to submit for to task a string for evaluation there. We're only going to tell you to submit to the Turnitin process if it's ready to go to the Turnitin process. Once it goes through the Turnitin process, that's when we tell you if it's ready to go to task string for a final evaluation. So with that in mind, let's look over here to your left again. When we tell you to turn it into the Turnitin process, this is where you go. APSL Turnitin check. And you will submit your document there. It will tell you what to do there. That's where you go when we tell you what to do. But if you go into your APSL template and materials section, you'll find this document. Directions and process for submitting the APSL final evidence. You're going to combine task 1 through 5 of the APSL as one continuous document. Remember, in the very beginning, you do your cover page where it says your name here. Then the next thing you do will be your school profile that you developed it with task 1. And then after that, you include all of everything in black. Remember, everything in black stays, all your directions, all your prompts, and all that stays the same. You go back and you start with task 1. You put task 1 in. You remove you remove your appendices and you remove your reference section at this point. You just put in task 1, you put in task 2, you put in task 3, you put in task 4, you put in task 5, you combine it that way. After task 5 is your reference section. Under the reference section, you go back from task 1 through 5 and you put them all together alphabetically, APA style, into one reference section. And then after your reference section, you do the very same thing with your appendices. And remember that your appendices at the end should flow and match what you've got in your document. Once that is done, you submit it where I told you to, in Blackboard.
Dr. Stedman, I noticed on 2B, we have changed that.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you don't have to do that. This isn't. That's right. Dr. Hamilton did that before we changed that. You don't have to go to task 5. This basically guides you though. You don't have to go to task 5. Remember, you go underneath task 5, and that's where you put it. Where I just showed you a while ago. And once it goes there, then we'll give you the permission whether it's ready to go to the Turnitin process or not. If it is, you go to Blackboard again. You submit it to the Turnitin check. And you won't get a report back from Turnitin. All you'll get back from Dr. Revis and me is if there's no problems, we'll say submit to TaskStream for final evaluation. And when you do that, then you have to, your DRF folio that you've created, that's where you go and submit it for final evaluation. That goes into TaskStream. That's the first time you really are using TaskStream. You go to TaskStream, and then it's out of our hands. Then it's into the hands of your evaluator. And once you get your score back, then you have to bring it back and you have to put your final screenshot there. You take a picture of your grade, you put it there, and that lets Dr. Revis and me know that you have completed the APSL process. Now, many of you you've completed task 1 through 5, and I've told you, submit it, turn it in. In fact, I cleared about 4 Turnitins this afternoon, Dr. Revis. So I know many of you are sitting there, and Dr. Revis had instructed her students to wait until after tonight. So I know many of you, a lot of that's going to happen. After class tonight, you're probably going to go ahead and move forward with that. Kayla, you have a question?
Yes, sir. What's the acceptable score from the APSL evaluator? I mean, from
The minimal
evaluator
score is a 3, but that means that you are minimally proficient. While Kayla, that gives you a passing score, that's not what any should strive for. We should always strive for the 4, but know that as long as you get the 3, that you have passed that evidence and you can move on. If it's anything below a 3, that means that Dr. Revis and I have got to at least give you another opportunity to fix the problem.
And what is the highest score?
A 4.
Oh,
So you don't want anything, you want your score to be a 4, but you don't want it to be below a 3. So anywhere between a 3.0 to a 4.0 will allow you to move on to the next evidence.
thank you.
You are welcome. Racine?
Yes, I was wondering, I may have missed this step, how we can get to that direction sheet you just shared that has
Okay.
our last few steps after task 5.
Okay, go to the APSL template and materials section.
It's on up, I think. I think you're in the app tail.
Okay, yes, it is. Thank you, Dr. Revis. Okay, APSL template and
On up. There
Okay.
you go.
okay, when you go to the APSL template and material, directions and process for submitting the APSL to TaskStream. You see it
Thank you,
now?
Dr. Seven.
You are welcome.
Yes, thank
Now
you.
remember when it says to go to task, go to to task 5 and resubmit there. Don't do that. Go below task 5 because that part has been changed. I apologize. I should have caught that and I didn't catch it. That document should have been changed out and I didn't think about that. But, okay. Other questions? Do you understand what has to be done with this final process? This will clearly tell you what to do.
Rachel has a question. The best way to organize your appendices, one appendix for each task or another way. Rachel, I'm not sure if I understand you correctly, but you've had appendices all through all the 4 different tasks. Probably didn't have any on task 5. So you have to be careful in narrative because you reference your appendices, your appendix entries in your narrative alphabetically. So the first appendix entry is Appendix A, and that should show as Appendix A in your appendices. And then as you flow through, let's say that when you get to task 4, you're on Appendix R. Just make sure that however it's referenced in your narrative, you have that corresponding letter in your appendices. And you should have one appendix entry per page. Don't put them 2 appendix entries on one page. Every entry goes on a different page. Rachel, did I answer your question or did I miss it?
And I would go back and look at what it says in APA about that, and then look at your APSL example, completed example also in Blackboard.
Yes, that helped. Thank you.
Okay. Turnitin is a pretty quick process. What you're going to have to wait on more than Turnitin, it has to process, but we look at your originality report. And if you've got an originality report higher than 30%, 25, 30%, then we may have to talk to you about maybe you miss your citations somehow, or maybe you didn't cite something correctly. So you're going to have to wait on Dr. Stedman and myself to tell you that your Turnitin a report was okay. Now you're ready to go to TaskStream. It's probably going to take 24 hours to do that turnaround.
And not always, but sometimes it does. And I will tell you, the ones that have submitted so far and cleared with me through Turnitin, your Turnitin has been perfect. I've had no issues with Turnitin up to this point. Okay, Dr. Revis, I'm going to turn it over to you now, and if you would talk about the competency folio.
Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. And the first thing that I want to share with you is a document, Brandon Sanders, and I have permission from him. This is his task 5. And so what I want to do as an example for you is I want to take his task 5 and show you how you move from task 5 and put competency artifacts to build your competency folio. Okay, so just very quickly, task 5, he does both. He puts in information about reflection from his competencies from his APSL task, and he also has some things in here about some of his clinical stuff. So anyway, that's what I'm going to do. Now I'm going to minimize this. I'm going to go to TaskStream, and I'm going to sign in, and I'm going to review with you how to develop your competency folio. So there's a video, about a 5-minute video posted. Dr. Stedman, where is that posted about how to develop your competency folio? Do you remember?
Go ahead and I'll talk, and I'm going to look it up. I got my other computer up.
Okay.
And I'll tell you exactly where it is.
All right. So here's TaskStream. I'm assuming yours looks like mine, but anyway, all that you have right now is your DRF folio. That's all that's active, unless you've gone ahead and developed and made your competency folio. Both folios live in TaskStream, but they're separate. Okay. You will merge the two at the end of your 3rd semester. So when we talk about DRF, directed response folio, that's where your APSL is uploaded. That's where your APTA will be uploaded. That's not where your competencies or your internship log will be uploaded. So you go to folio and web pages. And I'm going to go slow in case you want to write this down. And I'm going to create new. Now, before I create new, I'm going to name it. Okay. So you name it, and you create new. Next, you come down here and you click the radio button that says custom templates. And then it asks you to select custom templates. Here's where it can get tricky. You have all kinds of options. Only choose competencies for 21st century leaders. If you choose the others, you're going to get a former, earlier version of the folio, and it's not what you need. Competencies for 21st century leaders. So click that and then continue. Custom templates, competencies for 21st century leaders. Continue. And now you get to choose your theme. And, you know, I don't really care what it is. You may won't care, but I'm going to choose the nature theme. And I'm going to apply. You can go in here and, you know, mess with your color scheme and all that. If you want to do that, that's fine. Whatever you want to do. And so there's what it's going to look like. Okay. Now let's go to my folio and web pages and see if I can find it. Here we go. Fall 2021. All right. So this is what it looks like, guys. You see on the left-hand side, all of your competencies are listed, all 21 of them. All right. Now, before I go any further, and we'll say this a couple of times, you do not respond to digital learning competencies. Okay. What you're going to do is you are going to incorporate digital learning competency and demonstrate that throughout the other 20 competencies. I don't want to get too deep in that, but just let me say that again. You will demonstrate digital competencies by incorporating those throughout your other 20 competencies. Okay. All right. So I'm going to click on communication. When that comes up, you have to have, by the end of your third semester, you have to have 3 artifacts for each competency. We're going to do 1 round of artifacts at the end of this semester, 1 round at the end of second, and 1 round at the end of your third semester. And it tells you where you should pull your artifacts from. Okay, so you see communication says 3 evidences: APSL, PSYOP, and open-ended. When it talks about open-ended, that's from your clinical internship hours. Now, you haven't done the PSYOP, but you've done the APSL. So now I'm going to go back to Brandon's information here in just a minute, and I am going to pull up his, yes.
Before you leave, can I say something? Go back up to,
Sure.
to where it says the 3 evidences. Okay, you've got APSL, PSYOP, and open-ended. You're going to do the APSL this semester because that's what you're working with. So that leaves the PSYOP and the open-ended for next semester and your final semester. The PSYOP doesn't come to the last semester. So guess what you're going to do next time for communication? You're going to do open-ended. You will do open-ended in 603, and then PSYOP will come in 605.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why we kept saying, you know, use your reflections from your tasks, because you're going to use those to fill in here for your competency folio, to build your competency folio. Okay. So I'm going to go to main text. In my main text, I'm going to first put a header or a title, if you will. And I'm going to put APSL, Fall 2021. because I'm going to tell my clinical coach too exactly where I pulled my artifact from in exactly which semester. Okay. Now I'm going to go to Brandon's work. I'm going to pull it back up. And he's talking about the APSL and he's communicated various ways, methods of communication. Now, I really don't want you to copy and paste 3 paragraphs in here, but pull out the most descriptive part of this. And I would say, I'm going to pull out this part and I'm going to copy it if I can get it to copy correctly. Now I'm going to hide this. I'm going to go back. I'm going to paste. So while completing the APSL, I participated in multiple measures of communication. I first initiated professional discussion with my assistant principal, and I can't see part of my text. I apologize.
Within the system, but to gain insight on our school's PLC practices.
I did this. If I could spell. Okay, so you can see you're not writing the whole paragraph. You pick and choose different sentences that describe what the evaluator is going to see. So I do that, a brief description, and I'm going to save and return. And next, I'm going to put my attachments in. My attachments for this one are going to be the email permission that I got from my principal or assistant principal to begin the APSL PLC. You've already got it. It's in your APSL. Then I'm going to put in a meeting agenda, and then I'm going to put in minutes. That's what you put. You've already got it. Okay? Questions?
And Dr. Revis, they need to understand that, again, your 2 classes, this will come to me. My 2 classes, this will go to Dr. Revis. Now, we have to give approval because this is when this program is over with, when Gardner Webb sends your work to the Department of Public Instruction to be considered for certification, this will be sent. Now, the evaluator that's evaluating your task stream work, they don't even look at this. They look at your the written part of your competency folio. But this, with the artifacts, this is for Dr. Revis and me to approve, and this will go to DPI. This goes in your final work that you're building this portfolio, and this is what DPI will look at. Now, will they look at every portfolio? No, but guess what? We have no idea whose they're going to pull and whose they're going to look at. So, everything has to be ready.
Kelly, you have a question?
Yes. So you said attach the email and then you said attach the meeting and agenda.
Mhm.
So are those 2 attachments one artifact or 2?
It's one artifact. It's considered one artifact because you're responding here to this communication. Okay. Now let's go on to change management. Again, you see the APSL here. And see, that's one reason why that's a required one that you had to do. So you go back to your, back to your competencies that you wrote about, and you do the same kind of thing. You first do your main text in your heading. Fall 2021. And, make that stand out, because if you don't, by the time you hit your third semester, your reviewer's not going to be able to find what goes where. And then you will copy and put your text in there. Okay. And so you just work your way through, and let's see, conflict management. There's another one from the APSL. So, those 8 required that you have to do should have come from your APSL. And then you're going to have some open-ended as well, some choice ones. Okay. Any questions on how to create and how to set that up and how to take task 5 and put it into your folio?
Okay.
All right, Dr. Stedman.
If you're sharing, I want to pull something up and then we'll continue this discussion, Dr. Revis. I need to
Okay.
pull up the doc-
Natasha, you've got a question?
Yes, ma'am. So when we do our competencies in TaskStream, we're just doing the 8 from our tasks that we've completed so far, and then the 4 that we chose to do. So we'll have a
Right.
total of 12.
Yeah,
Right now, right now you're
And-
only doing the 12.
and that's
Now,
what,
if-
Are we,
go ahead. I was going to show you, that's what we're going to talk about next, Dr. Revis.
Okay.
Go ahead.
okay,
Natasha,
are we
just
what we're-
supposed to
look,
be-
go ahead. I'm sorry, I'll hush.
That's okay. Are we supposed to be doing that now, or like, when is it due that we do
That's
the
what I'm going to
TaskStream?
tell you. That's what
Okay.
I'm going to tell you. Look at this. This is and you'll find this under week 7. This is today's agenda. This is what Dr. Revis and I have talked about. Let's look at the important days to remember. The completed APSL must be approved and submitted to Blackboard for grade and to TaskStream evaluation no later than this Sunday night, October 10th, by 9:00 p.m. When we at 9:00 p.m. on this week, Sunday, the APSL should pretty much be history. Okay. As far as doing your evidence work is concerned. Task 1, competency folio that your competency folio should be submitted for review and approval to your clinical page 2 by Sunday, October 17th. Not this Sunday, but next Sunday. So you've got about 2 weeks to do what Dr. Revis was just talking about. And again, what does that consist of? Go back, those same 12 competencies that you've completed for task 5 of the APSL, those are the same 12 competencies that you should be working on to submit for our review by October 17th. Natasha, does that answer that question?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. And again, make sure that you submit for review only. If you're in my 2 classes, that is C2 and C10, you will submit to Dr. Revis to review. You'll find her name and you'll submit it to her. If you are in Dr. Revis's C4 and C12 class, you will submit those for me, Dr. Stedman, review. Now, what we would like you to do is whenever you get to the point that you're submitting work for our review, just send us an email and just remind us, just say, I have submitted some work for your review and TaskStream with my competencies, because that is not something that we look at every day at this point. And once you get to that point, we will begin looking at it every day, but that'll let us know that we need to go camp out there for a little bit. Okay.
Alethea, you've got in the chat box, is it 3 evidences per competency per semester? No, you have to address each competency for each semester. Now, one competency may have only one artifact, one may have two, one may have three, like the one on communication. There are really 3 artifacts there that you can put in there. Be sure that when we say artifacts, those are, yes, there are evidences, but they're things like your evidence of your PLC permission, your meeting notes, your agenda. Those are things. You really only have to do one thing per competency, but you're going to have to address all competencies each semester. We're going to do 12 now and the rest of them at the end of the semester.
Just remember, you wrote about it in task 5. You're going to put a snippet of that in the folio, but you're going to have to prove to us what you talked about. So if you said you did this, then show us that you did this with something concrete, evidence of it. Okay, Natasha,
Brooke-
go ahead. Natasha, Brooke,
I
and
was-
Kayla. I don't know, your hands are
Yeah.
there. I don't know if we've answered your questions or not.
Yes, I'm good.
Okay, Brooke, did we answer your question?
No, sir, but I know this is bad to say. I have forgotten my question.
Okay. Well,
I'll raise my hand again if it comes back to me.
okay, no
Okay.
problem. Okay, Kanisha?
So my question is like, I know one of the 12 things was like conflict management. So what kind of evidence would you put up for conflict management if it wasn't in, like there wasn't an agenda, there wasn't a slide about it or something like that? What would you use for evidence of that? Some of them might have just been conversations.
Dr. Revis, now it would be
Okay.
easy for us to, you go ahead and give an example, but we want you to have to begin digging and thinking about these too. Dr. Revis, you may want to give an example, but let's not get into the habit of giving all the examples because we want you to have to dig and think about it a little bit. And I'm not being facetious when I say that, Kanisha. There's a reason behind this, but she'll at least get you started.
Yeah, well, I would just say, Kanisha, that was one of your choice competencies because that's not one of the required. So it's probably going to be something that you've picked from your clinical hours, I would think. Unless there was some conflict that arose during your PLC, I would think it's going to have to come from your internship, clinical internship.
And Kanisha, what I would recommend as you think about that, think about it. And it's okay to send me an email and just say, Dr. Stebbin, I'm working on this competency. How does this sound? I don't mind emails on these kinds of things.
I guess
Just so
I'm just
you-
confused. So like, would my log hours, would that be considered an artifact? I just don't know. Like, I guess that's the part that I'm confused on.
No. It's conflict management. It's got to be something that specifically deals with how you've managed conflict in some form or fashion as part of your internship. And again, if for some reason you haven't done it yet, you can figure out, you can deal with some things over the next couple of weeks as well. So I would just, if that's one that you don't feel comfortable with an artifact right now, I would deliberately make sure that over the next 2 weeks that and talk to your administrator about it too. Just say, I've got to prove this competency. You know, is there something that you can involve me in or with so that I can be able to cover this competency with an artifact? Talk with them about it as well. And then again, if you need to, just play it off me. You can call me, okay?
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. I know you're still thinking about it. It's got to process, but call me. You just call me if it doesn't click, just call me, okay? Okay,
Now,
Kenya?
the one thing that I will say that I will send back to you in a heartbeat, if you start talking about a scenario that you use in your daily work as a teacher, I'll send that back to you. Remember, these are
Right.
experiences beyond the classroom. Okay?
Okay, thank you, Dr. Revis, for that. Tanya?
The question I have is, with the 21 competencies that we'll eventually have to address in task stream,
Uh-huh.
so are we gonna go to them each semester? I mean, are we just doing the 12 first and then 3 times, like from the APSO, the SIAP, and the other part, or how do we get to
Okay.
all
Okay,
21?
you'll do all 21 this semester. You'll do 12 with the APSO, and then at the end of the APTEL, the next evidence, you'll do the other 9 so that you'll have all 21 for this semester. Then when you go to 603, you will turn around and you will have to do all 21 again in a different way.
Okay, I got
And
you.
then when
I
you
got
get to 605, you'll do all 21 again in a different way. And each time,
Right.
each semester, you're growing. So the sophistication of what you're doing should grow as well.
Got you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Good question. Okay. Okay, Brooke, is your hand up still? Or you think of your question?
It is, on task 5, and I know this is slightly off topic, but I'm just looking at the dates that you have here. I'm not rushing, but am I missing the feedback for task 5 where we turned it in for review?
Okay, if you turned it in for me, I've given you feedback. If you've sent it to me, I don't have anything that I've not given feedback on.
Well, mine's still sitting in the APSL task for review. And it's been sitting there, and I've checked it every day, and I don't see any feedback on task 5. And that's what I was waiting on before I put all of it together.
Okay, did you submit it in that place where you were supposed to under? Did you remember you have to go to the APSL task for review, and you have to go
Yes, sir.
underneath task 5 where you can.
Yes, sir. I submitted it
Okay.
Saturday morning.
I'll go back and look. There's nothing showing in Blackboard for me, so I'll go back and look at it, Brooke. Okay, we'll figure it
Okay,
out.
thank
though.
you.
Thank you. And
Okay, thank you.
anytime, any of you don't ever let work just sit there. You're going to get, for the most part, it's going to be before 24 hours, but if it's been in there 24 hours, I haven't seen it. So I can
Okay.
promise you that. So any of you don't ever let work just sit there and not let me know, okay?
Okay, thank you.
You are welcome. Okay. Kayla, did we answer your question? Your hand's still up.
No, sir. So
Okay.
I'm confused about the submission for review. I don't remember, like, by submitting it to TaskStream, is it automatically going into the review stage? Is there a specific button that's review only? I don't know if I missed it.
Are you talking about when you're sending your final APSL to TaskStream?
You see what the screen that's shared that's in yellow where it says task 1 competency folio should be submitted for review and approval?
That's what Dr. Revis just went over. That was the last thing she did.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Is that by submitting it on there, is that review?
That's review.
Yes.
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 Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
that's
Yes.
review.
Because
Okay.
I mean, I
Yeah.
interpreted that's
Yeah.
an
Yeah,
actual
that's
submission. because
review.
task
That's
screen-
review.
Okay, okay.
Okay, let's look down in green. Okay, we will begin evidence to APTO beginning next week. There's a required town hall on Monday, October the 11th at 7:00 p.m. and you'll get a link to join that town hall. Week 8 class on Tuesday, October the 12th at 7 p.m. and we will begin working with you with task 1 of the APTEL. There will be a coaching session on that Thursday, and the whole coaching session will be fully engaged in the whole development of the APTEL. Every professor in 601 will be working to provide a different part of the development of task 2. Now, we won't be coming online every first night like we did with the apps. But we're going to give you a lot on that, so it's important that you're there. Now, after next week, week 9, we do not come online. However, that is a great week for you to be able to get a lot of your work done as you are working towards getting everything ready for the app. You can get a lot done. It doesn't mean that work is still not due on that Sunday night. It just means that we're not coming online during that week. Okay? So, and again, this is in under week 7 in Blackboard. Okay, it's been a lot tonight. We've heard a lot. But we are bringing closure to something and starting something at the same time. Okay. Any other questions that we have not answered? Okay.
I
Dr.
do have
Evans?
one about
Okay,
the,
Hussein? Okay, go ahead.
I have one about the view and task stream. I don't know if I just have to talk privately to Dr. Revis, but my screen doesn't look like what she shared for us doing the competencies or to submit the APSO when the time comes. It just looks a little bit different. So that may have to be just a private conversation, but I wasn't sure if maybe
Now
our
what I
views-
would, yeah, remember what I was showing you was your competency folio, not where you would submit your APSL. Does that make sense?
It does. I think that either I missed the button that you clicked on, but what I'm looking at for the competencies just looks different. Like I don't see where
Okay.
all of the 21 are to actually submit my evidence.
Okay. Okay.
Okay,
Well,
you might want to go back and you might have clicked an earlier version or something. You remember when you had to do that custom version? You've got to do competencies for 21st century leaders. You might want to go back and try to create another one to see if you get all 21.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
but we'll work through it, Racine, if you can't figure it out.
Exactly.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome. The biggest thing now that's important, finish the APSO and get it into task stream before you begin focusing on the competency folio. That needs to be done first. Okay.
Jennifer,
Any-
you got a question?
I do, Dr. Revis. Thank you. Just curious, you said the artifacts need to be from experiences beyond the classroom. So my question is, do my experiences as department chair and team lead, which are beyond the classroom, they are grade level and school level, would those count as artifacts?
Yes, they should. Mhm.
Excellent. Thank you. I just wanted to clarify. Thank you very much.
Janithia?
So maybe I missed it, but I'm looking to now submit into TaskStream. Am I looking right where it says on the left-hand side, it has APSL, and then I'm going to just attach it there?
Okay, Dr. Revis, we don't see what they see, so
Yeah, that's
Okay.
real hard for us to see. I was trying to see if I could go back and that's the problem because I don't see what we can't see what you see.
Oh, let's see.
So
okay. A student that has already submitted to task stream and cleared, can you speak up and clear up what Janithia's question might be? Because you see the student side of things and Dr. Revis and I do not see that.
That's correct, Ms. Brown. So you would attach it. just like you would say if you were uploading your peer review or one of your tasks, you'll just attach it.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Trico. I figured you would speak up, Trico. She was the first one. Cherie.
Yeah, so I have a question. I know that Dr. Ravish, you said that, you guys are doing the gradual release. I feel like I need just a better understanding of the flow of how we're about to move forward. Are you available for me to call or get a little extra support on understanding and making sure I'm on the right path? It was a lot of drop off tonight, so I want to make sure that I'm on the right path. Are you available this week? Do I just need to email you and get a time?
Sure. Just email me and we'll set up a time to talk. Okay.
Thank you.
Or Sherry, just call me. My number is on the homepage. Just call me. And if I can pick up, we will talk. If not, I'll leave a message and I'll call you back. Okay.
I got you. Thank you so much.
And Sherry, you can always call me too if you need to.
Okay, Dr. Stedman, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Welcome. Racine, did we answer? Okay, your hand's down. Brooke, we got your question answered. I think that's got everybody. Okay, guys, I know it was a lot tonight, but we knew that we had to do what we had to do tonight, and it'll all begin. It'll come together. It'll process. You got to have time to think about it. Okay.
It will. And again, congratulate yourself for getting through this first evidence work. It's been a whirlwind, I know. You've got a little breathing time. I will not say downtime, because you've got to complete your case study and you've got to get onto this competency folio. But just get ready to hit it hard come next week. Okay.
Okay, guys, you're going to be okay. Okay, we'll see you next Tuesday.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.